We're back, guys. Episode 3, season 2 of OversteerTV, online the podcasts. My favorite name of all of motorsports. I'm here with my buddy Jeff Brown. Now you're on this side for some reason. I don't know what happened. I don't care.
It's probably the wrong side.
Interesting stuff we're talking about. But first, I want to talk about Cota. And I know you got something to say, and let's hear it.
Oh yeah, Cota. I know when we previewed it the last show, you were not looking forward to it because you basically said it's a boring track. It has no personality. It's just and I kind of agreed. I was not looking forward to it. It's my least favorite road course race of the season for NASCAR. But then you mentioned that they changed the configuration. They shortened the track and changed the configuration. And it's completely different now. It's got the main straightaway, turn one, which they call Calamity Corner, still there. That was the only exciting thing about the track before. But now that they've changed the configuration, it is a fucking awesome track. It is now my favorite road course of all the road courses. Before it was like Watkins Glen, or I used to love Sonoma until they changed the configuration at Sonoma. So when they changed the configuration here, I thought, oh God, it's not going to get better. But man, is that track awesome now. I mean, just fantastic. I love the race. It has a personality. It has character. I mean, it's just, what I want to do is try to petition Formula One into switching, adding a few laps because the track's shorter, and going to that configuration. Man, it's just a fun race. It's just now my favorite road course of all the road courses on NASCAR. I wish they could race there every week.
It was interesting. Okay, let me clarify. I didn't say it wasn't a boring track per se. To me, it was boring for NASCAR. It was the track was designed and built for Formula One.
Right.
And so it was like
I thought it was boring for Formula One too. I really didn't like the track.
I think it's been pretty good for Formula One. It's just with NASCAR, the way track's set up, when they use the full Formula One course, okay, here's a corner. Then it was like,
yeah, take a break, have lunch, in the next corner.
Yeah, Formula One car, it's not like that. But in a NASCAR, or even like I remember Trans Am raced there a couple of times. It's just too big of a track for them. They get lost in there speed wise.
But one of my favorite races of the season for Formula One is Miami, and it's basically just a track around a stadium. I mean, very short track and some of the best racing you'll see. So I think that if Formula One went to the NASCAR configuration of Cota, it would be a more exciting, better race. Just add a few laps to it, and it'll be great. I don't know who we got to talk to make that happen.
Well, I want to see Formula One race at Rockingham or another short track, like a little half-mile oval. See what happens there. You'd have to make the fans sit like at least 30 rows up just to keep them from getting killed from all over the place.
That was like when the winged sprint cars would come to Hialeah Speedway. I would make my daughter Kristen go sit in the car in the parking lot because that was basically the only safe place in the track. Because those cars would just flip right over, not even touch the fence, flip right over the fence right into the grandstands.
Yeah, we went by a few months ago. Remember, we went up by Hendry County Speedway.
Yeah,
that's a little short dirt track, and then we saw that the wing sprint cars were coming there, and we're like, no.
Well, they race there all the time, With dirt, it's a little different because they're sideways most of the time, so they don't have the top speed that they have on an asphalt track. Yeah. So what do you got? We got Indycar. Was it?
Yeah, but wait. One thing about NASCAR.
Okay.
Like the guy who won the Daytona 500. What's his name?
Oh God! Here you're making me try to remember names again. I remembered Christopher Bell. He won Atlanta, and then he won again this week. So 2 races in a row. So, in my opinion, Christopher Bell is the right now
Right,
the favorite to win the championship. But once we get into the heat of summertime, all that could change.
I just want to. Byron won Daytona. He also came in.
Yeah, William Byron.
He came in second in Cota.
Yeah.
So he's been kind of like, people are like saying, oh, he didn't, he was kind of a fluke Daytona 500 winner, but he's been performing out there. He's not bad.
Oh yeah.
He's
I say him and Christopher Bell are the top two right now that are favorites to win the championship. Because those two are the only ones that have won a race this season. But Christopher Bell won two races in a row, and they were driver tracks. Daytona not so much. It was kind of Daytona's the luck of the draw. If you can miss the rest on the last lap, then you got a good shot. Whereas Atlanta and Cota are driver tracks. I mean, you got to be on your game there. There's no lucking into victory there.
What's happened going on with Kyle Larson?
Kyle Larson is struggling. Yeah.
What's going on? Is it the team or is it him?
I think it's the team. I think that maybe he's made somebody mad, or they're not liking the fact that he wants to go race Indianapolis, and they think it's going to hurt his chances like it did last year, of making the championship run there. But he's still, in my opinion, the best driver out there. I just don't think right now he has the car to get it done. He struggled in Daytona, he struggled in Atlanta, struggled in Cota. So to me, it's the car, because all three of those tracks are Kyle Larson tracks. I mean, he's still the top driver, but I'm looking at the favorites to win the championship right now, and that's Christopher Bell and William, whatever his last name is.
Byron.
But like I said, when summertime comes and that heat hits and the tracks get slick, then all that's out the window. Then it's going to be guys like Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, the guys that can handle those cars on slick tracks, handle a loose race car the best, and those guys will come to the top. Cream will rise to the top.
Yeah, I look at Kyle Larson. I go, he's already 32. Part of my brain said, oh, he's one of the new young guys who are coming into NASCAR and doing well. No, he's been around for a while. I mean, he's 32, getting up, not for a NASCAR driver, but for a race car driver, 32 is getting up there.
Yeah.
He, like you say, he's going to try the Indy 500. Should be interesting. Speaking of,
yeah, well, I mean, as good as a driver that he is, he still wins in sprint cars. He goes all around and drives all different divisions, and he wins in all those. So that leads me to believe that it's the car, something at Hendrick Motorsports, which it can't be, because William Byron drives a 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports. And I think right now he's getting the favoritism because Jeff Gordon is now president of Hendrick Motorsports, and he loves his number 24 car, and he wants it to win a championship. So maybe Kyle Larson's not getting the equipment that William Byron's getting. When you have multi-car teams, there's got to be a guy at the top and there's got to be a guy at the bottom.
I don't know about that. I don't think Jeff Gordon's the type of guy who, like, yeah,
I think
one of my drivers just because he's not running the right number. Oh, come on. He wants to make his money. He wants to win.
Well, like I said, it might just be the time of year when the weather gets hot and the tracks get slick. Then I think we'll see Kyle Larson rise back to the top again.
I hope so. I like Kyle Larson. I like to see him up there again. IndyCar. You saw the
St. Pete.
St. Pete, or as we like to call it, God's waiting room.
So everybody goes to die.
Yeah. The most. I mean, you don't have to go to Ohio to be in the Midwest. Just go to St. Pete because everybody there is from the West. Interesting race. One of the well, first of all, let's talk about Fox. That was their first race with Fox. We saw it on TV. I didn't go to the race.
Yeah. Well,
Definitely
Fox
moved up.
is you know they've got the great lead in NASCAR and the you know, or was it
Indy.
IndyCar and the NASCAR? They
Yeah.
kind of dominate the airwaves there on Sunday.
The broadcast was like, it was nothing so different or spectacular or nothing. It had a few things different than what NBC was doing. Um, Will Buxton is better than Lee Diffie, but
Not by much.
then again, a skin rash is better than Lee Diffie. Uh, so it was good. I like NASCAR was doing Fox was doing the promotions and stuff to get more people. They got pretty good ratings for IndyCar. They had 1.4 million viewers. That's pretty good for St.
That's more than they had the entire season, didn't it? Last year.
Higher rated races in the last few, except for Indy. It's one of their highest rated races. Some of the people, some of the things going, oh, you see, they're still bigger than Formula One, and they go, no, they're not. Okay,
No, not even close.
country, and I go, yeah, that's the kind of numbers Formula One gets, but Formula One, the usual Formula One race is like at 4 a.m.
No.
So when they do race in the U.S. Formula One, the Miami Grand Prix had over 3 million viewers. But it's still an improvement. They're getting there. They're getting there. Sorry, I won't be falling.
So your critique of the race?
The race was just another IndyCar race. It was nothing spectacular. Not that many stupid. Not the one thing I hate is when sometimes IndyCar has so many stupid mistakes. Some people made some poor tire choices. Alex Palau won the race. He should have won the race going away. But one of the pet peeves I have about IndyCar is they got a couple of drivers out there who should not be there.
Well,
Track. And you had somebody like Stingray Robb, who I'm sorry, he's he's below the Dennis Fatolo line. If you ask me, baseball has Mendoza line. If you're bat below 200, IndyCar has the Dennis Fatolo line.
he's one step above Milkaduno.
Talk about bad about Milk and Donuts. Anyway, this guy, Pelot was just cruising away to a victory. And then all the announcers got all excited and everything like that because they said the new guard was catching up to him. And what it was Stingray Robb was holding up Palau. And then once Palau finally got around him, he just ran away again.
Yeah.
I remember one of the big things like this was a new Indy car, and I go, no, it's not. It's a good racing. It can be exciting. But once again, we had Ganassi, Penske in the top 4. It would have been Ganassi, Penske, but Newgarden was running out of gas right near the end, and Dixon got around him. Same cars have been racing for last 12 years, I think.
It was all tire strategy. Yeah. That's what the race was all about, was tire strategy.
They need the tire strategy. They put that in thing because if not, then Ganassi and Penske would just run away with every race. Because let's face it, the bigger teams, the richer teams are always going to do better than the poorer teams. That's racing. Always has been, always will be. All right.
Well, the smart drivers did what I kind of predicted was going to happen was at the start of the race, they all came down the front straightaway and went through turns 1, 2, and 3 and wrecked, which I had kind of predicted. So the smart guys started on the soft tires so they could immediately change off of the soft tires and get on the hard tires for the rest of the race. And meanwhile, everybody else had to figure out how they're going to fit these soft tires that were good for like 12 laps, maybe. and then they lost all that track position. So the smart guys started on the soft tires because, as I predicted, they were going to go down into turn 1, 2, and 3 and just wreck, which they did.
Yeah.
So for future reference, start on the soft tires in St. Pete.
Yeah, willpower and a couple of the rookies got into a mess there. I'm not going to put any blame on it, but willpower did run into the back of the guy.
Yeah, he did.
He should have known better. It was a good race. I'd give the race a solid 6.5, 7. It wasn't, it's not something that's going to go down in history books as a great race, but it wasn't bad. There was some good on track passing and stuff.
Yeah.
They're at the Thermal Club in a couple of weeks. That place up in Palm Springs. That's you talk about a featureless, boring ass track at the Thermal Club. That's just imagine just in the desert in the sand, and that's about it. That's all you got. Um, but the other big news, it's
We got big news.
in America. It's official. We all knew it was going to happen anyway, but it's official. Cadillac is going to have a Formula One team in 2026
Without Michael Andretti.
without Michael Andretti. That's an interesting story. How the way he was forced out. I'm still trying to. I'm going to have a story about that. I'm talking with some people about what actually happened.
Yeah, there's an official, of what happened, but to me it seems a little more personal.
It was.
I don't know what he did to piss him off, but he did something.
It was a combination of his personality and just taking a note here to make sure. Questionable business moves by Andretti.
I don't know. He
I'm
seems pretty good.
I'll have some news shortly.
Okay.
If you notice, is not only was he kind of forced out of the Formula One team, was even kind of forced out. He's not running the IndyCar team. He was at the race in St. Petersburg, but he wasn't. He had headphones on, but he had no microphone. He was like nothing to do with the team officially. People were saying, "Oh, he looked happy and he was being nice to everybody," and I'm like, "Well, if Michael Andretti's being nice to everybody, that means Michael Andretti wants something."
No, we've met him a couple times, and he's always been really nice, really good interview with us. I don't, I've always liked Michael Andretti. I don't, evidently he rubs some people the wrong way.
Yeah, he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and not that unfortunately he rubbed the wrong people. But anyway, you got Cadillac coming in, General Motors, this Cadillac, so Chevy in Formula One, basically. They call it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That'll be interesting. And already the rumors, who are they going to hire to drive? And, well, they got at least.
Well, you know how it is in Formula One. It's all politics. So they're going to have to come in and ride in the back for a few years and then pay their dues.
Yeah, they're coming in with their own chassis, their own engine, and everything. They're going against teams that have been there, McLaren and Mercedes,
Right.
and Ferrari have been there for generations, who know every little minutia of what's going on and what to do. It's going to take a little while to catch up. But
yeah,
about the drivers, they're going to get an American driver, and everybody's talking about what's his name, Herta, and I'm like, personally, I would have gone. I would see. If you take away the politics and the business side involved, I would like to see Newgarden, even though he's getting kind of old. I think Newgarden would be a better driver than Colton Herta. Colton Herta is looking.
Well, I would say Kyle Larson would be the guy I would pick.
Even
if you want a chance.
Even if they said they wanted him, they couldn't have him because he doesn't have the points. To get the super license Formula One, you got to run certain series and win a certain amount of races and everything to get points.
Yeah.
They don't give those points in NASCAR pretty much.
You're saying his 15th place finish wasn't good enough to make it, huh?
Technically, I think there's like only right now. Colton Herta doesn't even qualify to race in Formula One. He need to get a few more wins. And Newgarden, I think, would qualify. Dixon, of course, would qualify. Alex Palou, I believe, would qualify. But I would like to see. I think Alex Palou belongs in Formula One, but he's not an American, so people are like, "Hey, I don't care. I just want to see the best drivers out there. Where they're from, where they just happen to be born has no bearing on me who drives, who wins, or whatever." You know,
Well, I think it's great that the Cadillac is going to be there, and then we're going to have more teams. I think the more the better.
so that'll be technically the third American Formula One team because Haas is an American team.
Hmm.
People forget Williams was bought by an American company now. They're based out of New York, so that's another American Formula One team. Um,
Yeah, but the Williams tradition is
they were originally
steeped in the UK. That's.
it was like Aston Martin's owned by a Canadian, which is just American.
I
Like,
mean, when your owner is named Sir Frank, and been knighted by the Queen,
yeah.
it's hard to say you're an American team.
Well, it's like I always get kind of like whenever McLaren wins a race and they play uh, they play they say they're a British team and they play the UK national anthem, "God Save the King," and I'm going, that's wrong because they're actually owned by the Bahrain government. McLaren, they should be playing the
Really.
Bahraini national anthem, but politics are
And
politics.
Zach Brown just runs the show,
Yeah, he just runs the whole
which
show.
he's done a great job, by the way. I mean, he came in and just transformed that team.
That team was falling apart, and now they're the odds on they're the pick to win the championship.
Yeah, as soon as Lewis Hamilton left McLaren, they were done. And then Zach Brown came in and turned it all around.
They've done a great job. He's done a great job. Uh,
And he's American, so you could say it's an American team. And I like the fact that he's got cars in Indy cars and he's got cars in NASCAR. He's really branched out and spread the McLaren name around.
he's spreading the wealth there, that's for sure. But Cadillac, the good thing about Cadillac coming in 2026 is going to be a whole new formula for Formula One. They're changing everything, the chassis, the engine, everything. So everybody is starting with a clean slate that year. I know the Cadillac's actually been pretty much been working on a new engine and everything for the last year, which will help
So
them.
maybe they won't have such a disadvantage.
Probably not. They're going to hire the right people. They're building a place in North Carolina near all the other NASCAR teams and where the wind tunnel's at and all that stuff there. You go where all the engineers are, where all the people who know how to work on cars, know how to change a wrench and all that stuff. They're there in the right schools and everything. Should be good.
So what's our Formula One preview of the first race? We're going to do that.
Yeah, when is the next race? When is the first race? I think it's still 2 more weeks to go.
2 more?
Yeah, let me see. Formula One.
I thought it was next week.
No, you're right. It's next week. Yeah.
So we'll do our preview next week.
Next week. Yeah. All right. Where does NASCAR race next week?
Phoenix.
God, I hate that race. That's a boring race.
Yeah, I'm still upset that Phoenix has 2 races and Homestead only has one. Uh, you know, they should race in Homestead on the road course. I don't think it would be good as the Cota because that's my favorite road course now. But I think if you did a late race on the road course in Homestead, maybe in the playoffs, that would add a lot to it. And they've been wanting to do more road courses, and their Homestead has a world-class road course that they could combine the banking of the oval with the road course and turn into a great race.
I would love to see NASCAR one day. They'll never ever do it. Throw some lights on those cars and do a road course at night. That, like at Homestead, it'd be perfect. It'd be like,
Well, they have enough light at Homestead. They'll need,
it's
just do some temporary lighting around the infield section.
costs a lot of money to bring in that kind of lighting. But I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. Anyway, next week, Formula One preview, the Melbourne Australian Grand Prix, where they throw shrimps on the Barbie, right?
Yeah.
Didgeridoos.
Maybe the dingoes ate your baby.
Oh. All right, then we're going to finish this one up. Like us, subscribe. You know all the stuff. Give us some comments. Show us some love. Let's talk about my shirt. Isn't that cool? Look at that shirt. Got palm
Talk
trees.
about my shirt.
Jeff's got fish on his. There we go. We're
Got palm trees too, upside down palm trees.
No, we're not from Florida. So we'll see you next week. Hopefully.
With a Formula One preview.
Formula One, NASCAR, Indycar, all kinds of crap. So
Oh yeah, we're right into it now.
you guys take it easy.